released in England around Christmas and Christmas truce and Christmas this and that. But Dave, is this a Christmas song?
Hello again and welcome to I've Got a Beatles podcast with Dave and Chris. And today we're going to go back into the lab for our first episode of 2025 in the Songs Under the Microscope category with a Paul McCartney song from I have to use this word, titular song, name of the album here.
Yeah,
Pipes of Peace, the
that's
lead
right.
track of the 1983 album Pipes of Peace.
Yeah,
So,
you can see it right back there.
yeah.
And you can also see it on CD, and it still has the Periscope Records sticker. Remember Periscope Records in Champaign, Urbana?
Yeah, I do. I do. Nice used store there.
So, yes. So,
And actually, I'm glad you said that because for our listeners, what Chris is referring to is you now can watch or listen to us. We're going to have the audio version will come out first, and then we'll have a YouTube version that you can see our smiling faces and Chris's very nice background with all of the albums we're discussing and songs.
yeah,
So,
and you can
and a
see
shirt there.
my shirt. I've got a Paul McCartney shirt with the English flag, which I thought was very appropriate for this song, and that leads me to a first question, Dave, to
All
you
right.
on this one, which is: can you remember another instance where there was a Beatles related song that was released as a single in the UK, went to number one this song
Yeah, it
too,
did.
number
This
one for
last
2 weeks,
Yeah.
and not the single in America. It was the flip side. So Bad was the single in America. Can you first explain to me that decision?
Mm.
And second, I can't think of another instance where that was released as a single, and maybe it's some of the early Beatles singles. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure, but
No, it's strange. And it is actually Paul's last number one in the UK, last
mhm.
single. So it's been many, many years. But I like you, I'm kind of puzzled by putting So Bad as the lead, the A side in
Yeah,
America, which doesn't make sense.
yeah, and
This song
that one
has
only
a
went
lot
to
more.
number 23 here in the US.
Yeah.
So Bad.
Hmm.
It's an okay song. It's not great.
No.
Uh, but Pipes of Peace certainly a better song.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that it has a particularly, we're going to talk about it, but a video and a very creative video at that. It's not just
Mhm.
Paul miming the song. There's a story that goes along with it too.
Yeah,
So I think it had a lot more going for it. And it's the lead track. It's the title song.
hmm,
So you'd think that would be what you go with, but alas, it was not the case. But
yeah,
it is a very British song. I think it reminded me a lot of London Town, kind of a similar sound,
yeah,
similar
yeah.
aesthetic, a very British song. It's not really an American song. So maybe that was what they were thinking.
I think too. Is it tied so much into the little story? We'll get when we get to the video. We'll talk a little bit more about that story. I guess what inspired the song, although
Right.
that's a little hazy in the
Yeah.
in the recounting of it from some of these sources we have. But so it could be that. But one thing it definitely led to was I was this wasn't on my radar, this song, when I was a young person, because you wouldn't, I don't know about you, Dave, but back when I was in my 10 years old, when this came out, 10, 11 years old,
Yeah.
you'd just hear the singles that were out on the radio. So you weren't all that familiar with album tracks. So for us here in America, this was like an album track that maybe if we had bought the album, we'd be very familiar with. But I had not. So the first and it was also not on the American version of All the Best. It was on the
True.
UK and the Canadian versions. I have a Canadian version in the other room there. So I didn't know it from the album. I didn't know it from the radio. I didn't know it from All the Best. So does this have this magic special place in my heart. No, but I get the feeling that in the UK particularly, this has and part of the reason I get the feeling is from reading comments under the Paul McCartney Pipes of Peace video of
Right.
how uh, touched people are by this song, and it brings up these memories from their childhood of 1983, 1984 when this song was released.
Yeah, I think that's again goes back to that point of being where this was released and how it hits you. Because I think for us, well, and the whole world, there was another certain song on this album that got a lot of play and also had a video to go with it too, which would be Say, Say, Say.
Yeah.
And so in that case, you had the extra cachet of Michael Jackson being
Mm-hmm.
involved. But this is very different kind of aesthetic and a very different song. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to say, and I'm glad we chose it. I can see why it has a certain nostalgic sound to it and a nostalgic feel because it was an important historical moment in what the video, and it's Paul right after Tug of War. So he
Yeah.
had a big hit with Tug of War and Pipes of Peace. For better or for worse, we'll talk about the album itself someday, but it's kind of seen as a weaker companion
Yeah.
piece,
Yeah.
and so it does get overshadowed a little bit. But there's a lot to recommend about this track.
Yeah. Personnel on this track, of course, you got Paul on vocals, bass, piano, synthesizer. We'll talk about the
But yeah, we'll
synthesizers a
talk
little
about
bit.
that.
Knee percussion, your favorite
Yes,
instrument.
yes.
Drums and orchestral arrangements.
It's basically a complete McCartney musical track.
Yeah.
He's doing everything.
Linda, backing vocals only, no keyboards. Eric Stewart backing vocals. Of course, Eric Stewart is a longtime pal,
Yep.
best known from 10cc, right?
Hmm.
And then Adrian Brett on the pan flute, David Bone on keys, James Kippen on the tabla,
Yeah.
and then the Pestalozzi Children Choir was brought in for this.
Right. Well, it's a big George Martin production too. You can tell
Yes.
that, like Tug of War and like Pipes of Peace, the album, you've got George Martin's touches all over this. You hear strings at the end, you hear strings throughout. I think he definitely had a hand in that. So musically, we'll start from each parameter here, but it's a beautiful melody, I would say, and a very catchy melody.
Yeah. At the very beginning of this track, you get these war sounds.
At least on the album version.
On
Yeah.
the yeah, on the album version. And I believe it's completely orchestral. So what do you call that, Dave? You're the expert in the room here. You're the master of music theory. What do you call that when an instrument is played in a certain way to create like noise?
Yeah, so they're using uh, i- extended techniques and also doing some improvisational sound mass kinds of little gestures trying to
Yeah,
evoke certain sounds, and you
yeah,
hear like a battle.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you get the horn out, and you get the
Yeah. Trills and
yeah.
different things in the strings.
Do you prefer the war sounds that start this or the grunting tug of war sounds that start tug of war?
Ooh, ooh, yeah, I'm hearing them both. Funny that they both title songs start with non-musical, that they have these introductions to them.
Yeah.
I probably like the grunting a little more than this. This one's sort of a weird start to me, but it makes sense in
Yeah.
context.
And then you get this little first section, which is this an intro and an outro, or what's the structure of this, Dave? It's a little
Yeah,
confusing because it starts with this the I light a candle,
yeah,
this little like light-hearted thing, and then it goes more into a doom 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 doom
kind of a
for
reggae
the rest
feel
of
for the
the yeah,
verse. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it's a typical McCartney multi part or multi-style song. So you have that part, as you mentioned, the I light a candle to I love. which then comes back at the end. So
Hmm.
it is kind of an introduction and an outro. And then in the middle, you've got the verses have the chicken, chicken, chicken,
Hmm.
kind of a reggae feel, and then you've got the chorus. So
Yeah.
it's got these different parts, and it's a real orchestrational production to differentiate those parts. But you hear a lot of Paul's keyboard in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, for better or for worse, right?
Well, that's both of us now have the new Luca Parasi book, right?
Yes, have it
Uh,
right here.
Music is Ideas, Volume 2. This is in Volume 1, I
Yeah,
believe.
correct.
I was reading that, and it was talking about, oh, one of his ideas was to have a bunch of different flutes from all over the world, but that would have been too difficult because they couldn't, get people who could actually play the instruments in easily. So they abandoned that idea. So what we get in the middle of this song is this little instrumental section with Paul playing the
Uh,
keys, and there's do diddle do diddle do and all this, and I think it sounds awful.
yeah,
The
very
drum
dated.
sound is bad, the keyboard sound is bad, the bass sound is the worst in the world. Now, some of these cover versions, one in particular that I'll bring up when we come up, strangely nail it.
Hmm.
Like actually use actual like natural sounding things. I think of a Mole of Kintyre or something like that, where he's using like authentic instruments,
Bagpipes and yeah.
bagpipes and things like that. The decision not to do that, but to cheap out, I think, and just play it on the keyboard, I think dings this for me, just particularly the music of
Yeah,
this
yeah.
for me a little bit.
Well, I agree. I think the piano, even the piano in the beginning it doesn't sound like a real piano. It
It's
sounds
like a
like it's
Casio or
Casio.
something.
Yeah, like a real tinny kind of sound, which is so weird for Paul being a great pianist and using the real piano on so many songs. So
Yeah.
the keyboard sounds, and as I learned from the Parasi book, there's a new kind of drum machine, like a special drum machine that was
Yeah.
recently invented, and that's very lame sounding, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, just and not that those things can't be used well. I mean, I can think of Coming Up,
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
recorded version of Coming Up is a good use of electronic music, but this song where we're hearkening back to the 18 or the 1910s
yeah. World War One,
World
right?
War One, and we're using all this cutting edge electronic music, just doesn't fit for me. So I've always had a
No.
big problem with this song just because of that.
What about that section? Well, maybe that was the one you were singing, but it's right when the "I light a candle" comes back, and that's when you hear the wow, 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 wow. It's like under headphones, it was just lousy sounding, which is
uh,
too bad because it's such a great melody and chord
yeah,
progression and all that.
yeah. So, but then they do bring in the children's choir.
Right.
So oh, we're gonna cheap out on the instrumentation of this, but we're gonna bring in this children's choir who sound great
Yeah.
and really work for the song for this, like, hey, let's shoot for some actual world peace here, maybe.
Hmm.
So that does, like, the to go, oh, we'll actually get a children's choir and bring them in here. So it's sort of just like incongruent in my mind of what
Yeah.
the decision making here. The
W-
children's choir sound good, Linda sounds good, Eric Stewart sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
One or two places maybe a little too much Eric Stewart. um
How about the one guy they did get in to play the tabla player who comes in very loudly?
why the tabla?
Do you think he's going for kind of a it's a world peace, like you said, a world peace, or trying to get that's what the idea was to get all these different instruments and
Yeah,
themes, but
yeah, but it just to get one world instrument. I mean, I guess the flute, the pan
yeah,
flute, and the tabla. It's like
over the
half
reggae
half
section
and
too.
yeah, over the reggae section. So It just it's a little weird. It's not
Yeah.
like it's all terrible,
No.
right? The song's fine. Like you said, the strength of the music of this is the melody,
Yeah, it's
which
wonderful.
is certainly a wonderful melody. And I guess I wasn't that surprised that it had been covered since it was a number one song and all that. Some of the
Yeah,
cover
yeah.
versions are very weird, but
And it's a the theme of peace could be is kind of
yeah,
a universal. Maybe surprised Ringo hasn't done a, cover of this one because it's about peace and love too. But
yeah.
oh well, he's got time.
So you can't talk about this song and not think about Tug of War.
Yeah, oh, definitely, definitely.
And the ending, they end very similarly with the
Yeah,
same notes, except for Tug of War ends with an unresolved note, and then it quickly goes into the boom, boom, da, doo, da,
yeah.
boom, da,
Take it
doo, da,
away.
boom. Um, but Pipes of Peace gives us this very satisfying da 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 da
Uh,
da, and
yeah.
then even a ding.
Yep. Yep. You hear a little, yeah, high note.
So we get this resolution, whereas the tug of war does not have a resolution. So
Mm,
it makes sense together. Tug
yeah.
of war and Pipes of Peace. Rank tug of war, Pipes of Peace, and Tug of Peace,
Oh,
which also
ooh.
appears on this album.
Well, Tug of Peace is definitely number three. Uh, I guess I like Tug of War probably better than Pipes of Peace, but I think they're similar. I think he has made the comment, maybe it was in the lyrics or somewhere I read, but he had, oh, I've got this idea. We've got two sides. We've got the war and we've got the peace, and we're going to do
Yeah,
albums on each side.
yeah,
So they're very related, and as well as they were recorded very similar times. So to me, there's a similar theme.
yeah. And Tug of Peace is mostly calling back Tug of War.
It's tug of war, yeah, in a
Uh,
weird,
uh,
funky version.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
How about you? What do you have a preference for?
I think my rankings would be exactly the same. I really like Tug of War. It's always
Yeah.
been one I'd never skip, whereas this one I'm sort of like, eh. But I understand once again people liking this one based on more of the lyrics
Yeah.
and the idea, of course, in the video. Now I wanted to show this. This is from the lyrics, the original, the hardbound lyrics. I don't think you get all these pictures in the soft one, but they have a here. We're looking at a Paul McCartney Pipes of Peace, the single, and goodwill to all men,
Yeah.
and it's the German soldier played by Paul McCartney with a bunch of makeup, and English soldier played by Paul, very fresh faced Paul McCartney, and they're shaking hands. And that's directly pulled from the video depicting a very specific British and German Christmas truce from 1914.
Very famous kind of
Yeah,
moment of we're gonna set everything aside and enjoy the holidays. That's why you saw the ad said a goodwill toward
yeah.
men because of the Christmas thing.
So this was released in England around Christmas and Christmas truce and Christmas this and that. But Dave, is this a Christmas song?
No.
No, it's
No.
not a. It's you know there's always this argument: is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
Yeah,
Because it
exactly.
takes place during Christmas, but does it have anything to do with Christmas?
No. No.
This
Not
is
like Happy Christmas or Wonderful Christmas Time.
one of the cover versions is from a Christmas Holidays Rule Volume Two,
Oh yeah, I remember
where I
those.
think it's gotten sort of put in a category where it's sort of Christmas-y.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And it is talking about peace, joy, um, lighting a candle,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I guess there are some thematic kind of Christmassy type things in there, but to me, it's just more of a world peace song.
Right. You're going to talk about the lyrics a little bit, I'm sure, but I think for lyrically, this is a pretty good song actually for Paul.
Yeah,
For it's not. to me, it's not too cloying. And I really like the idea, the imagery of pipes of like a musical piece, I think is a really nice way to put it. We're going to play the pipes of peace and make nice music and be together. It's a pretty good image, I think, for a song.
We've got a few sections in here. The I light a candle to our love. In love, our problems disappear. But all in all, we'll soon discover that one and one is all we long to hear. In the video, it really comes across. He's a soldier, but he's looking at a little picture of his wife.
Like a letter and a
Yeah,
photo, and
yeah.
yeah.
Both sides are doing that. Both the German,
Mhm.
and then they swap them, and then end up with the other guy's wife. Sort of a weird wife swapping thing happens in the video, but but then we get this all around the world. So there is a love song there that'll really come up in one of the cover versions
Oh
of
yeah.
just puzzling cover versions. Little children's being born in the world, and let's help them to learn in songs of joy instead of burn baby burn. And I guess that was sort of a kind of reference to the Watts riots,
Yeah.
which
I've
is
read that.
kind of strange to me.
I was thinking, I don't know if you were thinking the same thing, but when I hear Burn Baby Burn, I think of a different song from the late 70s. Burn Baby Burn,
Yeah,
Disco
Disco
Inferno.
Inferno. That's right.
That's what I was thinking of.
So
But if you want to be the Watts riots, okay.
yeah, maybe this is a really an anti-disco song.
It's an anti-disco song, I think. Yeah, exactly.
So
So a few clinker lyrics, but
yeah,
the imagery I really think is good of the pipes of peace and the nice message.
yeah, and I do like some of the lyrics, like "Will the human race be run in a day?"
Right.
It's a really nice, smart lyric there.
Yeah.
So some pretty decent song, pretty decent lyrics, great melody, like you said.
Hmm.
Some of the instrumentation stuff, I'm sure if he thought about it, he'd want to redo
Yeah.
it.
And I wonder what you think of the different styles in the sections. So you've got the straightforward piano part and then the
Yeah.
reggae feel and then the drums come in on the help them to learn songs of joy instead of burn
Mm.
baby burn. Then the chorus. Do you like the different styles?
It makes it a little clunkier for me
Yeah.
than
Abrupt.
yeah, than some of the other. Like I think there's different sections in Tug of War, but that pulls together a little better than this
True.
does, if you ask me. And of course, the wow, that video.
Yeah.
Just to dive a little bit deeper on that video, that produced by Hugh Simons, featured more than 100 extras, and McCartney cut his hair short
Yes. Very
for the
preppy.
video, and then he's all makeup up, including wrinkles and all kinds of stuff for the German soldier. He's playing the German soldiers a lot more like
Squinty.
sadder,
Yeah.
older, and then a very doe-faced Paul for the British soldier. And he's like, "Yeah, I heard about how they played football and stuff during this peace thing." So so there's a little bit of kicking the ball around and stuff. And
Yep.
Paul, I was watching an interview. I think I sent you an interview
Yeah. Yeah.
from some British show. Forgive me, I forget who the host was, but and they were talking about his acting, and then I watched the video, and his acting is like, oh,
You're me. You're
you're
me.
me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm you.
picture. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm pointing a picture. Me, wife. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. But he asks him, "Do you want to do more acting?" And Paul's like,
Oof.
"Oh yeah, yeah, I'm thinking." And of course, we're going like, "No,
No, don't do it.
don't."
We know what's coming. Don't do it. Don't do it. That was a
Yeah,
really great interview. I'd never seen that. It was with I forget his name, Harty or
yeah,
we'll link to it. But it
yeah,
was he and Paul and George Martin and the host sitting at the mixing console and Paul
yeah.
sort of teaching the host how to use the mixing
Yeah,
board.
you turn this knob, goes, and then the vocals are usually in the middle, but now
Yeah.
it's over here on the left, and then you put it over there, and you put it in the middle.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's very Paul, and George Martin is sort of sitting there like the teacher or the father watching this and
Yeah.
laughing. And but interesting, he talks about the song and that yeah, the sort of inspiration for it. The video, yeah, it's like of its time, I think, and it's a
I,
clever theme.
yeah, it's a nice video. It really
Yeah,
is. And
nice.
I feel like particularly for the time, you know,
Yeah,
and I don't think anybody's making videos with 100 extras and stuff like
no.
that anymore.
Do you like it more than the Say 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 video from the same album?
Yeah, with Paul and Whiteface.
Whiteface, yeah.
Yeah, I do like the video quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
Now, cover versions.
Yeah, boy, you sent
Oh
me some good
baby.
ones here. Ooh.
Oh baby. So first cover version was actually a Spanish version of this on the album La Humanidad from Sergio Denis, and it's Pipas de la Paz. We'll put a link to that, all of these in the description of the YouTube and also in our description of the podcast. Second one from 1985, Gerry Marsden. Does that
Yeah,
name sound familiar for all
certainly.
you Mersey Beat fans? Of course,
Certainly does.
Gerry and the Pacemakers.
Yeah.
Pretty weak,
Yeah.
lame, sort of very even more electronic keyboard on that one.
Rinky Dink. Yeah.
2006. Now, this outfit, I guess, puts a lot of songs into. They have a female singer sing them very sexily,
Mm.
and it's the Chill Out Sex Band.
Yeah, what a name.
And what a choice of songs. Like, for instance, one of the other ones on this particular record from Chill Out Sex Band was Woman. Now, Woman is
Oh,
like, Woman, I can hardly
that makes
express.
sense.
Like, if you're about to make love, Woman might be all right. But what about
Pipes.
children all over the world? Sung very seductively. It's so strange, very off-putting, if you ask me. Samantha Landrum, a kind of country artist in 2011, did a cover, pretty decent. It does have a very positive feel, well produced. The Poppy Girls. Poppy Girls is a British pop band consisting of 5 school-age girls from armed forces families. So
Oh,
what a perfect song
perfect
for
connection.
them to choose. Now, this Poppy Girls has that solo section done excellently, like done
Mm.
very well. They're using the like authentic like drums
Like a
or in the
military band.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's got this sort of like the whistling sort of background, so it makes it feels kind of
Mm.
Irish
Mm-hmm.
feel to it. So well done, Poppy Girls. I don't
Yeah.
know if the Poppy Girls it was probably 10 years later, probably not still together. Probably the most unique version is the American music group with a distinct a cappella style, and they're called Naturally Seven.
Ooh.
All a cappella, and some of the instruments are played by vocal mouth
Hmm.
here.
Okay.
So definitely that one is most definitely worth a listen. And then once again, the from the Holidays Rule Volume 2, the indie pop group Muna, who is a very good group, do a version of this very kind of like tame version.
Mm.
They don't have a solo section or any of that. So more cover versions than I expected.
Yeah, yeah.
But definitely the Naturally Seven and the Poppy Girls are at the very least ones to check out.
This is interesting because I don't know how you feel, but I this early 80s and maybe the whole 80s in general for McCartney is such a fascinating period. And especially this period because it was right after John Lennon died
Mm-hmm.
and he's sort of figuring out where to go next and what to do and he's really on his own at this No More Wings. And so it's fascinating to see the sorts of things that he did with this album and this song, and then the collaborations with Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson,
And then it goes to press
and
after
then it goes to
this.
yeah, press and Get My
So
Regards to Broad Street, yeah, and then and sort of having problems with his career, and then going back on tour and Flowers in the Dirt. So it's really a fascinating, I don't know if would you say it's a lost time, but this song, it's like Paul's still trying. He sounds good too on this. He doesn't have the voice problems yet that were going
Yeah.
to come. He still sounds very good singing on
Yeah,
this.
and is an awkward, weird time, I agree, but also some number one hits.
Yeah,
And
popular stuff.
this is
Right.
a number one hit in
Right.
England, and Say is a number one hit. And
Yeah.
some of the other collaborations were, obviously Ebony and
Ebony
Ivory
and
was a
Ivory. Yeah.
smash hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so a little bit awkward of a time. Press a very awkward album. But and give my regards to Broad Street, of course. So you can check out our video, our podcast on give my regards to Broad Street. Dave, a little bit of news came out
In fact, related to Paul.
related to Paul, and I almost wore my Wings shirt
Yeah.
because Venus and Mars 50th anniversary edition out the 21st of March, and this is in the Half Speed Mastered series, which included, if you remember last year, the Half Speed Master version of Band on the Run, which had an underdubbed version.
Yeah.
But this does not have an underdubbed. It's just a straight half speed mastered album. So if you're into the half speed mastered stuff, you can get it. If not, no big deal.
And at a quite expensive price.
Oh
People were
yeah,
saying too, it's like $38, I think,
yeah.
for
It's going for $37.98 here on Paul's website. Also on Paul's website,
oh yeah.
gotta tell you about some of these bundles, which I'm sure you can get the Half Speed Master vinyl with a T-shirt that says "It's all balls" and has the two balls on the front, and then it says "It's all balls" on the back.
Okay.
The shirt on its own is $40. The combination vinyl and T-shirt $69.98.
Mm.
That's with there's also shipping and all that included. There's also a slip mat and a poster and vinyl bundle that's $73.98.
Mm.
The slip mat on its own $25, the poster on its own $20, and then they have a shirt that's not part of the bundle that actually looks pretty cool, which is kind of a blue shirt, and it says on the back it does not say, "Oh, Venus and Mars are all right tonight." That's what
Okay,
that
that's
says.
better than
It's
it's
better
all
than "It's
balls.
all balls."
Yeah.
And then of course you can get your tote bag. I'm sure you rush out
Oh yeah.
get these tote bags every
Love
time.
them. Love them.
$25 there. But there was a little paragraph in the write up on this that is definitely worth talking about.
There was getting a lot of hype here,
Yeah.
a lot of prognosticating.
Yeah, it says the first Wings release for 2025. Venus and Mars follows 2024's theatrical release of the rare one hand clapping and its accompanying album, blah, 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 as well as last year's 50th anniversary of Band on the Run. More exciting celebratory Wings activity and announcement are soon set to follow.
Mm.
What does that mean, Dave? What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm bad at prognosticating, so
So, one possibility might be that finally we might be getting those big sets we're all asking for,
yeah.
which is Back to the Egg and the other unreleased
London
one,
Town.
London Town.
Which people were saying no, that because they're realizing that box sets don't make money as much anymore. That was one discussion I saw people were having that saying, well, I don't know, it could be that because that's a lot of money for two box sets. I
But
don't
other
know.
box sets are coming out too. So
Yeah,
what does that
exactly.
even mean? Another possibility might be if you remember when One Hand Clapping was released. So this tour was the one that led to the big double album,
Right.
right?
Yeah, Wings Over
So
America, triple
so
album.
so maybe instead of Wings Over America, it might be Wings Over something else.
Mm.
I heard a Wings Over Australia. It was it's pure speculation.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe they liked what happened with One Hand Clapping and the sales numbers for that, and maybe they're going back to that well
Mm.
and going to release another live thing. That would be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it does sound like some sort of other Wings thing of some measure. There's also that early Wings album
Oh
that
yeah,
only got released in the package that no one could get
the
because
Wings Over the World.
Wings Over the World, that
Yeah,
it sold out immediately.
yeah,
No one
yeah.
could ever get that. And then I've heard certain other YouTubers say, "Oh, they wouldn't want to release that on its own because that would hurt sales of future releases." I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
Because it sold out immediately, and so
yeah.
did all the big expensive only available on Paul McCartney's website stuff sells out immediately. So you're
Even the
telling me,
Even the Egypt Station tourist edition or whatever
yeah,
those were called,
yeah, with the
with
suitcase
the
and all that
suitcase
crap.
sold out. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's the foolishness to suggest that if they somehow 6-7 years after releasing that set release this on vinyl only or something,
yeah.
that it would somehow affect sales of future releases is
Silly.
beyond foolishness,
Yep.
if you ask me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, we knew this was the one guarantee. I said
Right.
in our gifts episode, that, or in end of year gifts episode, that this would come out. So
Yeah. And
yeah, but I probably won't get it.
no, I might wait for a used copy because I think I gave away one of my moves. I think I must have given away my Venus and Mars vinyl because I can't find it. So I
Oh,
may I may wait. I don't want to pay 38 well with tax and shipping over 40 something
yeah,
for it. So I'll wait. But yeah, I think it would be it's a great album. I enjoy it. And there's a lot
yeah.
of good stuff on it. So
And you
good
can
to
get
have.
these on Amazon
Yeah,
after the
they'll
fact.
after it's released, it'll
Yeah.
drop.
Oh, and of course, when they release these, re-release these half speed masters, it seems to also coincide with the streaming Dolby
Oh, right.
Atmos.
Right.
So it's listed here. It will be available to stream in Dolby Atmos. Good news there for our Atmos streaming lovers.
Yeah. Well,
So
very good. So go back to Pipes of Peace and check it out and let us know what you think of the song. And if it's been a while, you could go check out the video on YouTube after you watch us on YouTube and
yeah,
listen to us.
subscribe to this channel, and subscribe to our other channel, Saga Album Career. We're starting to get that going again. Now that my computer has finally been replaced, and I've got a good computer
Yeah. Well, we're in
finally.
business.
So
Yeah.
we're back in business, and we're doing pretty well as far as all that goes. But it really helps if you like and subscribe. If you're listening to us and you only listen to us on the podcast version, we appreciate that. Write us a review on Amazon Music or Amazon Podcasts or any of the podcasts. I think we're available everywhere
Yeah.
that
Basically
you can
everywhere
get
now.
podcasts. So please help us out as far as all that goes. We're really appreciating your listenership and viewership.
Absolutely. And so we will leave it there for now and be back at you soon with a new episode.